I've put hundreds of hours into Red Dead Online, and honestly, that's what makes this thing so annoying. Because this wasn't some random failed online mode that nobody cared about. Red Dead Online had something. If you played it properly, you know exactly what I mean. There were nights where you'd log on with no real plan, ride out from camp, and somehow end up spending hours doing absolutely nothing and still enjoying it. Hunting in Big Valley, getting into stupid fights in Valentine, dragging bounties back across the map while your horse is barely alive, waiting for your moonshine batch to finish, helping random players 1 minute and then fighting them the next. It wasn't perfect, it was never perfect, but it had atmosphere that most online games would kill for. And you know, that's the part that still frustrates me. So Rockstar had one of the best online worlds ever made, sitting right there, already built, already beautiful, and already full of players who wanted to live in it. And somehow, they just let it fade. When Red Dead Online first launched, it was rough. Anyone who was there remembers it. The money was terrible, everything felt overpriced, and half the time it felt like the game was punishing you for trying to enjoy it. You'd do a mission, get paid for almost nothing, and then look at the price of the coat and wonder if Rockstar was having a laugh. The world looked incredible, but there wasn't much to actually build towards. You could ride around, do stranger missions, hunt, fish, mess about with friends, maybe get griefed by someone halfway across the map. It had the Red Dead magic, but it didn't have a future yet. Then the updates started getting better, and this is what people forget now. There was a period where Red Dead Online was genuinely exciting. When the roles came in, the game finally started to make sense. Bounty Hunter made you feel like you had an actual job in the world. Trader made hunting worth doing. Collector turned the map into something you actually studied instead of crossed. That is when I started thinking, okay, this is it. This is where the game starts. Because suddenly, you weren't just a random online character wandering around. You had a purpose. You'd leave camp to grab materials for crypts, check collector maps, you'd ride across the entire map because Madame Nazar's moved again, you'd do a legendary bounty with your posse and probably mess it up the first time. You'd spend way too long choosing an outfit you were barely going to see under a coat anyway. It sounds small when you say it out loud, but in the game, it worked. The world finally had a loop. Then Moonshiners came out, and for me, that was probably the moment Red Dead Online felt closest to becoming something special. Having your own shack, it felt different. It wasn't just a menu or a business screen, it felt like a place. You had your bar downstairs, your band, your deliveries, your story missions. You know, it gave the game some personality. You could ride up to your moonshine shack with your posse, start a mission, get into a gunfight, come back, drink at the bar, slap each other around, dance badly, then go sell a batch and crash the wagon into a tree 2 minutes later. That was Red Dead Online at its best. It wasn't about being the fastest or the most chaotic online game. It was about feeling like you belonged in that world. And that is why the downfall hurts more. Because you could see the path Rockstar should have taken. Everyone could. Ranches should have happened, properties should have happened, proper robberies should have happened, a deeper outlaw system should have happened. The game was literally built for it. You had towns with banks, you had trains running across the map, you had huge stretches of land that could have been used for ranches or hideouts. You had camps that already felt like the first step towards building something bigger. Red Dead Online should have let us start as nobody and slowly become someone. That's the entire fantasy of the world. Start with a camp, build a business, buy land, run jobs, make enemies, get richer, become known across the states. That would have fit Red Dead perfectly. And it's not like the players were asking for impossible things. They weren't asking for flying horses or nonsense like that. Most people just wanted the game to lean harder into what already made it good. More outlaw stuff, more ownership, more reasons to stay in the world, more progression that actually felt like progression. Instead, the game started drifting. The naturalist role came out, and I know some people liked it, but let's be honest, that was not the update most of the community was begging for. The game about outlaws gave us animal samples before it gave us proper robberies. That is insane. I'm not saying it was completely useless. Legendary animals, they were cool, but some of the clothing was decent, and it gave people something else to do, I suppose. But it also felt like Rockstar had started misunderstanding its own game. Players were sitting there, waiting to rob banks, own ranches, expand their camp, maybe build a proper gang business. And Rockstar gave us Harriet, spraying us in the face because we were hunted in a cowboy game. That was the first time it really felt like the direction was off. Then, Blood Money came along. The name made it sound like Rockstar had finally listened. Blood Money sounded perfect. That sounded like crime, robberies, dirty work, proper outlaw content. When it dropped, it just didn't hit the way it needed to. There were missions, there were contracts, there were some decent moments, but it felt smaller than the name, smaller than the hype, smaller than what the game needed at that point. It didn't feel like the beginning of a new era. It felt like Rockstar giving Red Dead Online just enough to say they hadn't abandoned it yet. That's the most frustrating sentence you can say about this game. Just enough. That's what Red Dead Online got for so long. Just enough to keep people checking. Just enough to keep the servers alive. Just enough to make fans hope the big update might still come. And the community carried so much of the game themselves. People made their own fun because the world was good enough to let them. Roleplay groups, trail rides, fight clubs, fashion videos, posse wars, hunting trips, cinematic edits, whole communities built around a game Rockstar barely interested in expanding. That says everything. The players were trying harder to keep Red Dead Online alive than Rockstar was. And then came the point where everyone started to realize the dream version of the game probably wasn't coming. No ranches, no mansions, no proper bank robberies, no Mexico expansion, no meaningful outlaw empire, no big next step. Now, I want to be fair here. Some of the content people talk about was never officially promised. Fans have found files, rumors have spread, people have speculated for years about what could have been, but honestly, the confirmed stuff is already disappointing enough. Rockstar had openly talked about players moving from a basic camp business into bigger things, including property ownership. That idea made sense. It fit the game. It gave players a reason to grind beyond just buying another hat. And then it just never became what it should have been. That is the real cut content to me. Not one specific mission, not one leaked file. The missing future. Because Red Dead Online didn't feel like it ran out of ideas. It felt like Rockstar ran out of interest. And the comparison with GTA Online makes it even harder to ignore. GTA Online kept getting bigger. More businesses, more heists, more vehicles, more ways to spend money, more reasons to log back in. But Red Dead got left behind. Yeah, I know why. GTA Online, it makes ridiculous money. That's the hard truth. A new supercar in GTA is easier to sell than a new horse in Red Dead. A flying bike is easier to monetize than a saddle. A giant nightclub update is easier to market than a grounded ranching system. GTA Online was built to escalate forever, but Red Dead Online, it couldn't do that without ruining what made it special. And that's probably the real problem. Red Dead Online needed patience. GTA Online rewarded excess. Rockstar followed the money. I get it from a business point of view, I really do, but as a player, it still feels awful. Because GTA Online didn't just make Rockstar rich, it changed what Rockstar seemed to value. For years, GTA Online proved that one game could keep printing money if you kept feeding it expensive content and premium currency. It proved that players would grind for hours or pay real money to skip the grind. It proved that online updates could be more profitable than traditional expansions. And once that became the model, Red Dead Online was always going to struggle, because Red Dead fans didn't want a casino in every corner. They didn't want the game to become ridiculous. They just wanted depth. They wanted immersion. They wanted the Western fantasy to be expanded properly. That kind of content might not sell currency as aggressively as GTA Online, but it would have built loyalty. It would have made Red Dead Online one of the most respected live service games ever. Instead, it became a warning sign, a reminder that even the best world can be wasted if the company behind it doesn't think it's profitable enough. And this is where I think Rockstar deserves criticism. Not because they made GTA Online successful, fair play to them for that, but because Red Dead Online had its own identity, its own community, and its own potential. It did not need to compete with GTA on GTA's terms. It needed support on Red Dead's terms. That's what never happened. The saddest thing is, even now, when you go back to Red Dead Online, you can still feel what it could have been. Ride through the Grizzlies at night, and the game still looks unbelievable. Walk through Saint Denis, and it still feels alive. Set up camp somewhere quiet, and it still has that strange calm that no other online game really has. Then you open the map, check what there is to do, and remember why you stopped playing. That is the loop now. Nostalgia, then frustration. You log in because you miss it, you ride around for a bit, you admire the world, maybe you do a bounty or sell some moonshine. Then after an hour, it hits you again. There should have been more. That's the sentence that follows this game everywhere. There should have been more. Red Dead Online wasn't dead because nobody loved it. It was neglected while people were still begging for it to be saved. That's why the anger lasted. Bad game disappears and people move on. Red Dead Online didn't disappear. It stayed there, looking beautiful, reminding everyone of the version they wanted but never got. And I think that's why so many players still talk about it like it was a tragedy. It wasn't a complete failure. It was worse than that. It was almost incredible. Rockstar had the world, they had the mechanics, they had the community, they had the perfect foundation for an online western that could have lasted for years. And for a while, when the updates were active, it really did feel like the game was heading somewhere. That's the version I miss. The version where new rule could drop and everyone would come back. The version where the future still felt open. The version where Red Dead Online didn't feel abandoned yet. Now it feels like a place Rockstar keeps open because shutting it down would look bad. The lights are on, but Frontier is quiet. And maybe that sounds dramatic, but if you play this game for hundreds of hours like I did, you know it's true. Red Dead Online didn't need to become the biggest online game in the world. It just needed Rockstar to care about it as much as the players did, and they didn't. That's what killed it. Not one bad update, not one missing feature, not one community complaint. It was the slow realization that the game we were waiting for was never actually coming. Red Dead Online had the potential to be the greatest online western ever made, and for a while, it almost was. Then Rockstar chose the safer money, the louder game, the proven machine, and then Red Dead Online was left behind. That is the part I still can't get over, because if you were there, if you actually played it, you didn't just see what Red Dead Online was. You saw what it was supposed to become.